You're listening to Boomers Today with your host, Frank Sampson.
Well, welcome to Boomers Today. I'm your host, Frank Sampson. Of course, each week we bring you important and very useful information on issues facing baby boomers, their parents, and other loved ones. And as I do on every show, I can't thank you enough because we have grown our listeners organically, as I say, through all of you sharing individual shows and podcasts and with your friends and family, and I can't thank you enough. Many of you listen to the show. You've told us your walks in the morning or while you're exercising, which we're going to talk more about on this show. But you got that the podcast going, and so we really appreciate that. Many of you listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and many of the other podcast stations that we're on. So, and I know why you're listening and why you're sharing these podcasts with friends and family, because we bring you great guests. And I'm not going to disappoint you today. We have with us Bill Dooley, who is an accredited exercise scientist with Exercise and Sports Science Australia. He's an author, teacher, and lecturer. He has been helping people to exercise for almost 20 years through one-on-one, small group, and online sessions. Almost 8 years ago, Bill started Growing Rich, which is a face-to-face and online exercise program specifically designed by him to build and keep the 65ers strong, upright, and functioning like they're 10 years younger. So, Bill, thank you so much for joining us on Boomers Today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, Frank. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I know before we started recording, you started to share with me a little bit more on how your background, how you got into this, which is a great story. So I'll let you share that with our listeners.
So some time back, this particular program, so the Growing Young exercise program, was developed in around mid-2015. So that's just over 8 years ago. Essentially, both of my parents are boomers. So this podcast series that you have is quite close to home for me. And I've seen how they've, with regards to their exercise and their physical capabilities, I've seen how they've developed over the years, so to speak, or their particular exercise journey. But look, Mum, a little while back had a couple of falls, and I helped her with a series of exercises at home that she did over a certain period of time, and she really benefited from those. And so from there, it sort of grew, and I thought, look, a lot of people can benefit if Mum did, and the program was born from that. And so essentially, Mum was my first I suppose client, for want of a better term. I don't particularly like using that term, but
you gave her. I hope you gave her a discount, did you?
Yeah, she did. She got family rates. I think it was I helped Mum with her exercise, and she helped feed me. That was our particular arrangement, and so I think I came out in front there because her food's a lot better than I'd say it's better than my exercises, but her food is terrific. So. But look, yeah, so it grew from that really, Frank. So, and now it includes people all around the world, which is a wonderful thing. And the whole program has sort of developed and sort of grown, as you said, organically, like your podcast series has, into like an international exercise club where people feel like they're part of something. They're all doing it together and all benefiting from it, which is great.
Yeah, well, it's amazing what has happened. I know, as you said, on this podcast, we have certainly many of our listeners are in the United States, but I see statistics that we have listeners from all over the world, which is just amazing, and that's kind of a service that you have as well. that even though you're based in where, the Melbourne area? Is that where you're based? Australia?
Yes, I'm in Melbourne, absolutely.
Great.
And
All right,
you're
but
in San Francisco, is that right?
yeah, just north. Just north. Yeah, we're in the Bay Area. Yes, Sonoma, California. So, you provide a service that people can utilize no matter where they're located. So, we'll talk more about that. But I'd like to just learn a little bit more. And I guess this is a question I want to ask on behalf of our listeners, but also on behalf of myself. What's happening to our bodies as we age? I mean, I could tell you, my gut is getting bigger and bigger, and I don't think I'm eating anymore. Actually, I think I'm eating less than I used to. But and muscles, you're not as strong anymore. I'm a golfer, and where I used to be able to hit that ball a lot further, it just doesn't go anymore. So, well, what happens to our bodies as we age? I know it's probably a big question that you could probably spend the rest of the time on the show talking about, but maybe give us your input on that.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. It's a good question, and I get asked that a lot, day to day. It is a question that we could spend the whole podcast answering, but I'll summarise it as best I can. So look, from the age, and it happens quite young, younger than people think. So from the age of around 30, our bodies sort of go into a natural declining state, where we start to lose a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of muscle and bone, each year. So the muscle density and bone densities, and we go into a little bit of state of decline, which means our bodies, we basically break down tissue and we regenerate. So we're constantly regenerating our bodies. And look, even just a funny fact or peculiar fact is, over the course of our lifetime, we end up with about seven to eight skeletons. So we actually regenerate our whole skeletal system about 7 times in our lifetime. But as we get older, the ability to regenerate declines, and so our breaking down ends up a little bit more or at a greater rate than our regeneration, if that makes sense. So, and what happens with that is we lose a little bit of strength over the course of our lifetime. Now, we can nullify that decline and we can do something about it, which is why I've developed this program. Because over the course of your life, when you get to about 60, 65, that decline in muscle and bone starts to really impact on your life, and it becomes a bit of a problem with getting around and balance and things like that. And with you, it tends to impact on your golf. And so your flexibility or your ability to your soft tissues to stretch, so we lose a little bit of elasticity around our joints and things like that. So that's why you feel like you're a little bit tight with your swing and things like that. So yeah, that can be improved as well with a little bit of work. So all these declines that happen naturally, you can do something about them, which is the positive message to take out of today's interview.
Got it. So what would be, you hear different things, to do more cardio type exercise, to, lift weights. Now you're saying, I'm seeing, a lot more stretching. I mean, maybe all the above is important, but can you zero in on maybe what you feel are more of the most important modes of exercise for those, let's just say, in that category of 65 plus?
Yep, absolutely. So if we look at, sometimes you can sort of look at it a little bit differently, and exercise for a lot of people, even that word just makes people shudder and break out in a sweat even if they don't start moving. So, think of it as just being active or moving, that's if you can sort of start thinking about it in that way. A lot of the researching around exercise is starting to use physical activity as a term instead of exercise, just just because, people just think of exercise, you have to sweat for hours to get anything out of it, and it's not necessarily the case. So anytime you move, the body's designed to do that. So anytime you move, you'll benefit from it. And the important areas, you can think of 4 main areas that are important, and some of them are a little bit more important depending on what stage of life you're at. So if you think of strength, you think of, your aerobic capacity, which is, your heart and lungs. You think of balance and think of your flexibility or mobility and things like that. If they're 4 things you can build a foundation on, they're the important ones. And I think out of all those, you're looking at strength would be right up there with regards to something to focus on. So if you can make yourself or develop a little bit more strength, just through some basic exercises, that would then flow into the other areas quite nicely, particularly balance, because they're quite closely related. And flexibility too, which is an important one. And if you get out there and if you're playing golf and you're whether you're driving a cart or whether you walk the course, if you're out there walking, that's certainly taking care of the heart and lungs. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a background on the importance of. So I'd put strength probably there on the top of the podium, closely followed by the aerobic type side of things. So getting out there and having a little bit of a walk, climbing some stairs. If you've got access to a stationary bike or even an exercise bike or a push bike. Look, the very basic mode of trying to improve your aerobic capacity would be walking. It's very underrated. If you can't or find it hard to be able to get out and have a walk, then something which just gets the heart rate up a little bit. And it might just be the use of the upper body if you're sitting down, just using the upper limbs, the arms, or anything which you find you're getting a little bit of a puff. If you're getting a puff and your breathing rate's increasing, then you're working your heart and lungs a little bit more.
Right. So I know, I think we all know maybe the physical benefits of exercise, but talk to us more about kind of the psychological benefits as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, look, it's and they're very underrated to a degree, and not focused on as much. But the social aspect of exercise or the psychological aspect of exercise is very important. And I see it here at work quite a bit. A lot of the people that come to see me live by themselves and or haven't a life partner as such. So they come in to see me or see others who, if I run a small group class, or even people who attend where I work, and they come regularly, so they get to know everyone. It's quite a social thing for them to come into exercise. So they get a lot out of it socially. They go out afterwards. A lot of the classes, they'll go out socially and have a coffee after the class, which is probably why they come in the first place, secondary to the exercise. So that side of things is very important, the social aspect, being part of a community. And we do a lot of, sponsoring around the area, for various fundraisers and walkathons, or when I say fun runs, you don't certainly have to run them, but getting together to help with that. So it all forms an important part of the socialisation, even internationally with the online program. There's people who feel part of a club, which is what I've tried to encourage and develop through the website. Is even though you're living in another country, you can interact online. There's a forum there or a means to get together and feel part of an exercise club, even if you're living in different countries, so to speak, Frank. So
right.
All that, being a part of something and being related to something is a very important way of staying with or adhering to exercise in this particular case. So it's a very strong motivator, feeling part of something and that relatedness that comes with it.
Great. So, Bill, we're going to take a real quick break, I promise, just to recognize our sponsor, Senior Care Authority. And we come back, maybe I'd like to talk to you more about your particular program, Growing Young. We'll get into more specifics about it. All right. So, do you know anybody who may be concerned about an older driver? Well, Senior Care Authority's Beyond Driving with Dignity program is a facilitated self-assessment program for older drivers. This program has been designed to serve as a vital tool to facilitate older drivers and their families as they make the appropriate decisions regarding the future of one's safe driving career. If the individual is a safe driver, an advisor will provide him or her with strategies on how to remain a safe driver as they progress through the aging process. If driving retirement is the appropriate decision, then the individual and their family are offered possible alternatives, resources, and a specific plan to ensure a smooth and successful transition from the driver's seat to the passenger seat. To learn more, you could go to www.beyonddrivingwithdignity.com or call 877-907-8841 to connect with a Senior Care Authority advisor in your area. So we're back with Bill Dooley, who's an accredited exercise scientist and has started the company Growing Young. So, Bill, maybe just so I want to make sure we don't forget before we finish up the podcast, but people want to learn more about your organization and your program. Where would they go to? Any contact information at all?
Yes, so if they wanted to learn more about me or the program itself, my website is the best place to visit. So it's www.billdooley.com, BILLDOOLEY.com. So they can jump on there, have a bit of a read of my background and why I started it and what it's about. There's a few sample videos that they can have a look at, and they can learn about the program itself and even sign up. So look, one of the things that I wanted to do, Frank, with this is to start something that people will benefit from, that's easy to follow. So essentially, you can, if you've never exercised before or you've got minimal experience with it, you can start off at a base level and progress. And there's varying programs that you progress onto to help keep you motivated and improving and things like that. And they cover all the areas that we spoke about earlier. Increasing strength and balance, mobility. So every session, which takes around between 20 and 25 minutes, you basically just log in and follow me, and I'll show you how to do all the exercises, and you cover all bases. So they can come on that, and I wanted to make it, apart from it obviously benefiting people, I wanted to make it an affordable option for people too. So there's a yearly membership cost, which is normally $99 for the year. This is not per week or month. Pay it once a year, which at the moment is at $49 for the year. So if you jump on, pay that, it's like a membership fee for the year for the club, and you get access to all the exercises, over the course of that year. So it's proven to be quite popular, and I wanted to make it so as in cost effective for people. So jump on the website. That's the best place. There's an email access on there if you needed to ask any questions, or if you had if you wanted more information, absolutely email me, and I'll be happy to provide that for you.
Great. Well, let's talk about the person that would be a great fit for your program. So I'm going to lay out I'm not the expert you are, but I'm going to just lay out from my own experience, personal and as friends and things like that. Um, so there's an individual who is just self-motivated, can get up in the morning, you know, do whatever exercise routine. I would think that that's probably the minority of the people out there. You know, they're just self-motivated. They do it themselves. They know what, they follow some routine and they do it. You have those that need to go to the gym. You know, they need to go to be more community, be around other people, maybe get a trainer or something. And then, those people that maybe they have the money and they want to hire a trainer. Okay. And it seems like your program, from what I'm gathering, is kind of a little bit of a hybrid. But maybe explain, I'm sure you would love to get everybody signing up for your program, but explain in your words just the type of a person that maybe would be the best fit for the growing young exercise program.
Excellent question, Frank. Something I've thought about quite a bit, actually. So who's it targeted to, or who would best fit the program, and why am I doing it? Well, the people you've covered, the self-motivated or the gym goers, if they're already doing what they're doing, then all good luck to them and all the best. And it's a wonderful thing, because the more people that are moving, the happier I'd be. So, but in the US alone, and Australia's not far behind this either, Frank, but the World Health Organization last year brought out some figures, did a lot of research on it and brought out some figures. And in the States, almost half the males or men over 70 and 65% of females over 70 aren't moving enough. So they're not meeting what are sort of recommended guidelines for being active. So in essence, it's the half that really are finding it difficult to do anything. They're the ones that I'm really trying to help and to benefit. And there are a lot of barriers to exercise for people who are a little bit older, or the boomers generation. And so I'm trying to eliminate a lot of those that center around, cost and convenience and lack of support, and all these things that come out as evidence-based barriers to exercise for the 65 pluses I'm talking about. The program's tailored to them. So even if it gives them a kickstart for a year or two, and then they go, you know what, I'm feeling really good about it. I think I might go join a gym, or I might go do something. Then I'd be more than happy with that. Like, that'd be terrific. So, or they might enjoy it so much they'll stick with it as a backup plan. If they go traveling or they go on holidays and they can't get in the gym, then if they've got their mobile phone or tablet or laptop or whatever, iPad, then they can log on to me and during their holidays I can help them exercise during that time, if you know what I mean. So it's more to help those that are finding it hard to do themselves, and they'd rather do it at home for a little while to get some confidence up, and something that's not going to cost them a lot of money, and it's convenient. Then they're the ones that I think I will benefit the most out of this. And then after that, off they fly. They grow their wings, exercise wings, and off they fly. Then I'd be more than happy with that too.
Great. So what about those that say, well, I've got to exercise more. I need to do that. I don't have the equipment at home. I don't have a whole lot of space. I got this maybe extra bedroom or whatever. How does that all work with your program? I mean, are they going to have to go out and get equipment? Do you make those recommendations? Tell us more about that.
Yep. So the program was designed to really not have any equipment at all. So I used a lot of things around the house to start off with. And look, you can certainly buy you don't need a lot of equipment to start. You can go out and you can use a towel or a beach towel instead of an exercise mat. You can use various things in the pantry instead of hand weights. Essentially, the body just needs this, to be challenged a little bit, and the weight or the resistance can come from anywhere. It doesn't really matter. So, no, the program's designed for those who haven't exercised before and haven't got any gym equipment. And as you progress along it, you can certainly add to that if you want, but you can certainly start with nothing at all. And we cater to that. We don't need a lot of room to do the initially in the program. So I took all those things that you said into account when I thought to start it. And if you added to it, and you can even email me and ask, and I have plenty to do. What do I need? I've done this for a little while. I'm looking at just adding a few things, and I'm certainly happy to guide people along that path as well.
Great. Well, great. So, Bill, just any. We're kind of out of time, unfortunately. It's been great, but any words of wisdom that you have to our listeners?
Oh yes, look, it's for those. Look, with regards to exercise or moving, even a small amount will make a difference, and you don't have to exercise all in one hit, if that makes sense. So they call it exercise snacking in a way. So just every couple of minutes here, 5 minutes there over the course of the day, if it builds up, and the sum total at the end is what's the important part. So you don't have to block, a lot of people get put off by, gee, I need to block off half an hour or an hour. You don't have to. You can do what you can when you can during the day, and it all adds up, and it's anything that you do will only benefit you. So, but if you need some help with starting, then certainly contact me at billdooley.com. But if you don't, or if you can start it yourself, then starting's the important thing, Frank. So take that one step. The first step's the hardest, and then away you go. And I'm there to help if you need it.
Bill, thank you so much for joining us on Boomers today. Check him out, Bill Dooley, DOOLEY.com, BillDooley.com. Thanks for joining us on Boomers today, Bill.
Thanks, Frank.
You've been listening to Boomers Today with Frank Sampson. To learn more about today's show, visit boomerstodayradio.com and join us next time for another edition of Boomers Today.